This is the story of a lone traveler, a Pennsylvanian by geography, but a cowboy at heart, exploring the Southland. Along the way, we'll get to see cool places, and we're always in it for the food, the friends, a good old cup of coffee, and the freedom of that great open road.
Hello, everyone. So, we're just starting our trip here in southeastern Pennsylvania as we prepare to head out. This evening, our stop would be in Stanton, Virginia, and we'll be going there by way of Leesburg, Virginia.
So I went across the Susquehanna, through the Baltimore Tunnel, onto Route 15 near Frederick, Maryland, and crossed the Potomac into the village of Luckett's, Virginia, traveling along the James Monroe Highway, and then by way of the GPS along some back dirt roads in Luckett's to approach a better position on Route 15.
All right, everybody. We are here in Leesburg, Virginia, somewhat more wakeful than we were about 3 hours ago. Croissant sandwich, and then some lemon cake for later.
From Leesburg, we traveled into the mountains of Winchester, Virginia, across Route 7 in Winchester, got onto I-81, the Truckers Highway, thanks to the inland port at Front Royal, Virginia. We were surrounded by trucks for most of the ride, then came into downtown Stanton. Coming into town, it was very windy, and there were many beautiful churches and a few photographers out. In downtown Stanton, Virginia here, and you can see right here we have the courthouse of Augusta County. Stanton, I believe, is an independent city, as they do have in Virginia, but also serves as the county seat. Mary Baldwin College, and there is the Pamela Fox Leadership Hall. It says it's the oldest college for women, related to the Presbyterian Church in the U.S. You have the Woodrow Wilson Presidential Library. There's the City Hall, some games and gifts, and there is the Worthington Hardware Company, the Living and Plant Company, Crown Jewelers, Shenandoah Pizza. I didn't think Shenandoah was known for their pizza. There's a Jerry Garcia quote on one of these historic theaters there. Some tile work up there kind of reminds me of the Egyptian theater in Los Angeles. Coming to the end of the main drag here, we have the American Shakespeare Center, of course. And like a lot of other things, they're closed. So there you go. We are right here by the White Star Mills. It looks like the White Star Mills is now home to a Mill Street Grill and a Taste of India. If you want to have some Indian food here in Stanton, Virginia, that is on the table. We've just had some very good pizza, which is right next to where I parked, Pizza Luca. It had a very high rating. It was a hot sopressata type of deal. Seems to be a very busy place in town there. After a gourmet Italian dinner, we drove as the sun went down through the town center of Stanton, Virginia. Through its red brick glory, the National Historical Sites, and past the Stanton, Virginia watering can, and spent the night at the Holiday Inn. The next morning, they told me it was a bad day for traveling, and boy, they weren't kidding, as I encountered thick fog on my way up the Afton Mountain along I-64. I eventually came down into the town of Afton.
We are here on the way to Appomattox, Virginia. We have made our way to a stop along the route, which is Traeger Brothers Coffee. We got their Love Blend and got some of their coffee as well. Now we're off to Appomattox, Virginia, so we got about another hour there. Cheers.
From Afton, we drove along the Route 29 corridor nearby and then into the small town of Lovingston, Virginia, which serves as the county seat of Nelson County. This is in a sleepy part of the Virginia Piedmont with about a 33% poverty rate. It also features as part of the path infamously followed by the Route 29 stalker in the mid-2010s. So it does have a bit of a spooky past associated with it as well. Furthermore, the coffee shop that we tried, Traeger Brothers, actually had its original location, I learned, in this Lovingston, Virginia, which we did pass by on this pass-through as we approached some railroad tracks. These railroad tracks were busy as a coal train moved across them, and we stayed stopped for some minutes before proceeding to cross the James River into the Amish country of Virginia, it seemed.
and then on some back roads without markings. And we saw some of the beautiful pine forestry of Virginia as we drove through the thick fog and stormy conditions. To reach Route 60, after a few more turns, we then arrived at the location of the park. We'll be coming up on the courthouse. There we are, entrance next right. Here's the formal entrance to the park. We'll do a little walk around here, and then we will go to lunch.
And I think he took the big table because he thought when Grant got here, they would sit at the same table.
Mm-hmm.
Well, about a half hour later, Grant gets here, and that little table was up against the wall.
Sure.
His staff pulled that out for him, and he sat there.
Mm-hmm.
So it took about an hour and a half, and it was all said and done. They signed 2 separate documents, not one.
Oh, okay.
So Grant wrote up the terms of, these are my terms of surrender, signed it, give it to Lee. Then Lee wrote it on a separate paper, I accept your terms of surrender, and gave it to Grant.
I see.
So it was 2 separate letters, more or less. And as you know, after Lee and Grant leave, all the guys in here, they wanted a souvenir. So they took everything except those 2 vases. They're original. And they didn't get the couch.
They didn't get the couch either. It still has the doll on it there.
So, well, while Lee and Grant are trying to come to terms, they see that little doll over there, pick her up, they start passing her around, playing with her, and they notice she's got 2 eyes but no mouth. So they call her silent witness. She can see what's happening, but she'll never tell.
Sure.
So, like I said, when they started taking souvenirs, a fellow by the name of Moore took the doll. 1865 to 1993, the doll stayed in the Moore family.
I see.
In fact, it got passed down to the men in the family.
Something of an heirloom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in 1992, the Park Service knew who had her.
I see.
And they went to him and asked, would you sell her or donate her back to the park? And he's like, no, I'm going to hang on to her.
Sure.
Unfortunately, the man passed away soon after that.
Mm.
In 93, his wife come out here, unannounced, looked us over, and liked what she saw, and she said, I can't give the doll back to Lula, so I'm going to give her to the park.
Ah, very nice.
So we're in the museum. We have upstairs the original silent witness doll. Here to the left, this dresser.
Sure, original dresser.
The baby crib is original.
Oh, wow.
The desk behind the baby crib, and the grandfather clock back here. The clock says 3 o'clock. That's what time Lee and Grant finished up. So.
Oh, I see. It's right twice a day, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The clock is right twice a day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there's no AM and PM on that.
Yeah, yeah. Following our very memorable trip to the Appomattox Courthouse, we headed westward for lunch into Lynchburg, Virginia. So, we've just wrapped up here at County Smoke in the Lynchburg, Virginia area. I had some pulled pork, cornbread, collard greens. You know, I've had barbecue, you know, just about everywhere. I've been all around the world, you know, Kansas City, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Ohio, you name it. This is some of the greatest, especially on the East Coast. So cheers with some Coke Zero to that and onwards on our trip. From there, we went south on some country roads near Leesville, Virginia, coming back onto the 29 corridor, going further south through Danville, Virginia, crossing the River Dan, and then continuing south past the historic downtown and new casino areas of this former factory town. At this point, we prepared to cross the North Carolina state line on Route 29 as we continued heading southward. By the time I entered into North Carolina, the weather improved significantly. I quickly made my way down to Charlotte, past the Bojangles Coliseum, and to Noble Records. So here we are inside Noble Records. It looks like they have some jazz OGs and all various things. So we're going to take a look around, see what we can find. Seems like a pretty sweet spot here. All kinds of stuff going on. Now we will head back to the Tacoma and we will head to Clemson, South Carolina. The drive from Charlotte to Clemson featured beautiful sunsets and commuter traffic as we prepared to find dinner in Clemson. We've had some dinner at a place over there called Evolve Kitchen. They were very nice and explained the town. They had some good homemade ginger beer, and now I'm having some handles just like at home. Try a new flavor here, banana cream. All right, folks. We're going to pick up our friend Keith from the airport, and then we will head to our buddy Alex and his fiance Haley's place in Rome, Georgia. So headed down to ATL Airport. Through the pine forests of South Carolina and onto I-85 at Fairplay, South Carolina, and across the Georgia state line into Franklin County we went. From there, I made a stop in Houston in their historic downtown for coffee. So we've had a little road stop here and tried their coffee company, which is rated very highly. Very good coffee. They're brewing Alma coffee, so I'll have to look into what that's all about. Nice spot, historic downtown here. Some coffee and banana bread as we continue on the road to ATL. Right there's the city plaque. Police department is over here. You can see this bench is dedicated to A.W. Thompson, pioneer of the White Rock Chicken in Georgia. And then here's the spot where we found some coffee. It was rated best in the Best of Georgia 2024. There's the community center and city hall. And then they have this beautiful gazebo, really, that was built here. It looks like for the bicentennial. Another coffee shop over here would be Ferguson's on the Square. Oh so cozy. And then a pizza place called Sliced. And they've said sliced and smashed, and they have some various illustrations there. As I made my way through the back roads of Houston and back onto the highway, I couldn't help but notice that it also seemed to be a bit of a trucking hub outside of the downtown. It wasn't long before I was back on the 29 corridor and making my way towards downtown Atlanta. Finally in Atlanta proper, I prepared to head to the ATL airport to fetch my friend Keith, as he had his flight in from Philadelphia, and we both prepared to go to Rome, Georgia to visit Alex. There was only mild traffic in the downtown area of Atlanta, and I quickly got onto the John Lewis Parkway, which allowed me to easily cut over to the ATL airport and collect Keith. We prepared to have a barbecue lunch with a Michelin recommendation. So we've touched down here in Atlanta, Georgia. We've come to a place of Keith's selection, which is Heirloom Market Barbecue here in the Chattahoochee area, I understand. The Chattahoochee, like from the Alan Jackson song, of course. Very interesting. We're very eager to try it. As you see, they have some famous figures painted on the walls. Willie Nelson, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, of course. We're surrounded by some famous faces as we prepare to dig in. And I'm told this is in fact Korean. So you can see here they have a flag of South Korea. We look forward to enjoying. So we're about to tuck in here. We have a few things. So there's some Korean fried chicken, banana pudding, some mac and cheese, and then brisket,
kimchi, and spicy Korean pork.
Ready to dig in. About an hour and a half's drive northwest of Atlanta is the Rome metro area, comprised of Floyd County, Georgia, which we entered into and shortly made our way into downtown Rome. As we approached the downtown of Rome, we prepared to visit our friend Alex and his fiancée Haley in the new house they had moved to after previously renting in Rome, Georgia. Alex works at Berry College in the economics faculty, and Haley works in marketing. They're proud to live in the downtown. Having known Alex for more than half my life, I am equally proud to visit him there. We're in Rome at the courthouse. There's Alex and Haley and Keith. Alex, will you tell us about the street downtown here, how wide it is and such?
I think it's the widest downtown street in the United States, like from storefront here to storefront across the street. It's the widest.
See across the street.
Decades ago, there was no median. It's much more pedestrian friendly than it was back in like the 80s. Yeah, so in the summer, these water fountains, come to life, and kids and families come out and play in them and run around in them and stuff, and you can walk through them and run through them. During the Rome Shakespeare Festival every year, there's this thing called Shakespeare in the Park, where they set up a stage right here, and the audience is just seated out here, and they put on a few plays. June, July, August, and September, the first Friday of each of those months, there's some kind of concert in the town green, and lots of people come out for it. There's food trucks and there's food tents, and you can drink beer outside, and lots of people are hanging out on the bridge. Lots of kids are running around, Yeah.
I see.
Certain parts of Stranger Things were shot in Rome. A house with the villain in season 5, that house is in Rome. And a part where a couple of the characters are walking outside like an insane asylum, and behind them is the Ford buildings at Berry.
Alrighty, so we are here in Rome, Georgia. We have our driver Haley, Keith there, and then myself, we're in Haley's Jeep. Meanwhile, our buddy Alex, of course, he's teaching economics at the moment at Berry College. We're gonna go around, have some breakfast. A quick local drive led us to the main downtown shopping area where we checked out the bakeries and eateries. We have stopped by the Sweet Bar and got some treats. So why don't you show us what we have, everybody? Keith?
I got cronut.
Very good. Haley?
I got half a dozen macaroons. Look at her. Delicious.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And then over here, we have some donuts of various, shapes and sizes. So coconut, pecan, and custard, which will serve us well in the days ahead, I'm sure. And now we're coming onto the campus of Berry College, the largest land-grant university in the United States. It was started by Martha Berry. It's a liberal arts college. Martha Berry is a woman who never married. I believe she was local to the area, local to Rome, Georgia, and decided that it was her life's mission to create a school that's based around hard work and studying hard and training the next generation. And that became this Berry College that you see here. Beautiful, beautiful. There's Evans Hall. What is this building that we're pulling up to right now?
Green Hall.
Business and economics.
Yeah.
So this is where Alex is based out of.
Yes.
I see. Perhaps we'll be able to go into his office, but in any case, we'll be paying him a visit.
Yeah. He should be done teaching now.
So we're here in Alex's office. He's finishing up for the day. How's it going today, Alex?
Good. Just finished, taught 3 classes, and now we're ready to go on a hike.
Very cool. And where would we be hiking?
We're hiking to the Berry Reservoir.
We then drove through the vast expanse of Berry's campus in Haley's Jeep to arrive at the reservoir hike. Here we are, hiking along. This is the reservoir hike. How long would you say the hike is about?
To get to the front of the reservoir, I think it's like a half hour.
So we were very kindly pointed to this site of the restoration of the American chestnut tree, and that there was a fungal pathogen that arrived from Asia in the late 1800s, and by 1950 had killed an estimated 4 billion trees. So the American Chestnut Foundation is using genetic backcross breeding to produce a blight-resistant tree that has American chestnut qualities. And so we can see those trees being planted up in this area. Good times and good cardio were enjoyed on the way to the reservoir. So here we are at the Berry College Reservoir. Guys, any thoughts on the views up here?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Pretty nice.
Our hike made us hungry, and conversation started to turn toward the mussaman curry we'd be making for dinner.
Well, the thing about coconut milk is that a lot of the canned coconut milk varieties, especially the ones that you can buy at the store, have like stabilizers in them, like guar gum. Thai Kitchen, which is like the dominant American brand for like Thai stuff, now makes these cartons, coconut cream and water. It's coconut milk. This is a mussaman curry, a Thai curry that's got a lot of like cinnamon and allspice and nutmeg and clove in it. Yeah, it's really good. Cheers, guys.
Hell yeah.
Well, I made like $1. She started dancing to that music. Rock and roll.
So, very great fun, and I think several people bowled a strike, including myself. That was absolutely excellent. World-class performance. Thank you everyone very much. It was a wonderful game. Here we can see the W.J. West building, 1906. Seems like a historic building. They converted it into apartments. And this section of the street, there are some things closed, but, it's coming to life. There are a lot of new businesses as well. And we're coming here to one of the main intersections in town, 2nd Avenue and Broad Street. And we'll go over to have some coffee. So here we are in the center of downtown Rome, and you can see behind us, it has a statue of a cat-killing wolf that was donated by the city of Rome, Italy. I think sometime in the 20th century. Over there is a Carnegie building. So that's a building that was sponsored with money from the Carnegie family, the famous steel family from Pittsburgh. And then over here you have Swift and Finch coffee. So we're gonna go over there and get a good coffee. So we're here at Swift and Finch. We've had the coffee, but we couldn't get enough. So now we're having some espresso as well. Just having a little pick me up here. And we've got this wonderful hat that they have for when we're trucking back. So there you go.
Definitely getting notes of coffee.
Coffee.
And
Does it taste
like
bitter?
Rome, Georgia municipal tap
Oh,
water,
that's nice.
heated probably to around 210 degrees. Yeah, very nice. Like a dairy type thing, like maybe like the fatty portion of like cow's milk mixed with regular milk kind of taste. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
If you had to name like some other flavors that you're getting out of it, what would you say?
I'm not really getting any.
Maybe some apricot?
No notes of apricot or
Lunch at Aventine in Rome, Georgia, and we're also preparing for a bonfire this evening. So there's some setup going on.
We got roasting logs and tiki torches, and we're going to be setting up the backyard with a little bit of a bonfire tonight and some flame tiki torches to light up the backyard.
Beautiful.
We built the bonfire with materials that we found right in our backyard.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
free.
All right, we're about to dig in. We got all our food here. So, as you can see here behind me, we've all been preparing the yard, clearing everything, getting ready to do a little bonfire over here. So I also just ran up to Publix and got some hot dogs. Our hosts, Alex and Haley, have some s'more stuff, and be expecting some of their local friends here. So it should be a nice change of pace. See what social life is like here in Rome, Georgia, with some delicious backyard campfire cooked food.
Okay.
So we're just conversing, and we got to talking about some various Southernisms, and so I think Kayla wanted to share one of these Southernisms with our viewership here.
Yes. So you can say they think they're hot snot, but they're a cold booger on a paper plate.
What's our plan for the day, guys? Going somewhere?
Going to Cloudland State Park.
All right, everyone. So we're here at Cloudland Canyon State Park, main overlook area. So there's a little scope here, and you can see all the valley and all the country out below. There you go. While at Cloudland, we went to the main overlook area, where several folks got to use the scope to see small houses and farms in the distance within the valley, and to peer upon the waterfalls that dotted the landscape. There seemed to be a certain brightness and light about the valley and about the waterfalls, even on such a gloomy day, and that was very pleasant. Cloudland was the final activity of the Rome, Georgia leg of the trip, and with that coming to a close, this marked the trip reversing and us moving in a return direction as we traversed North Georgia on Route 411, crossed the Tennessee state line. I then continued on 411 through the Amish country of Tennessee, stopping at Buc-ee's in Sevier County, Tennessee, and then working up I-81 all the way to Bristol, Tennessee, and crossing into Bristol, Virginia, the birthplace of country music, where we stopped at the Birthplace of Country Music Museum. This is a rare peek into American musical heritage and history. Well, folks, we're not going to be here for long, but here we are at the Birthplace of Country Music Museum in Bristol, Virginia. They are closed, but this is where the first country music recording was ever made. I believe it was an individual by the name of John Carson, and it was Old Log Cabin in the Lane.
So we have touched down here at the Virginian Hotel in Lynchburg, Virginia. The sun is just about going down. Traveled all the way from Rome, Georgia, and the lake, which was good. Quite cooling going through Tennessee. Not much of anything there that I had planned on my route. So maybe in the future I'll learn about some things that are there. But aside from that, just coming on a main street now, the place is dead. I mean, you know, virtually nobody's out. I think it's mainly a business district, and that's why. But in any case, we're coming up on this Bootleggers, which does look open, so we're going to give that a try. Here we are. We've stopped by Bootleggers. They had a very good blue cheeseburger and some onion rings. So you can see this whole area down here. It's kind of a mountainous town, and their stairway is installed with lights. It reminds me very much of my time at UCLA. They had a similar setup there. So, with my night walk back to the hotel, my trip was definitively coming to a close. I knew that the next day would be the final day of the trip when I returned home. I woke in good spirits and drove out of the historic but still fairly empty and sleepy town of Lynchburg, Virginia, across the connector from the historic downtown to the Route 29 highway. On my way up the 29 corridor, I passed through historic Charlottesville, Virginia. Given more time, I would have liked to explore the historic downtown and to have also visited Monticello. Additionally, the University of Virginia campus, one of America's most beautiful, is also there, but I was not well equipped to explore it on my own on such short time. Working my way up 29, I hit the confluence of routes 15 and 29 in Culpeper, Virginia, and I then hopped on Route 15 going northbound in Culpeper to make my way back to the great town of Leesburg, which we love so much, and we love their breakfast food so much from our initial outings there. With the return to the welcoming town of Leesburg, Virginia marked the end of our trip. Now we await another volume of The Traveling Cowboy.